This topic is on the easiest way to reach Sai, and the letter that Swami sent to his students. My dear boys, accept my blessing and love. I received all your letters. Very happy. One fundamental point to bear in mind while repeating Sai's name is that when you take the name, you must feel that it is only by his will and power that you're doing it and not by your own. If at the very start of your sadhana you feel you are doing everything by divine will and power, your progress will be easy. There are some people who do japa and are very proud of the fact that they are doing it. They think they are superior to others. That is very harmful. Spiritual aspirants must remove egoism from their nature. We miss our objective by feeling that we are purer than others. God's name must be chanted with all love and faith. Then vasanas drop out of the mind without any effort. God comes to the devotee when he cries out to him, just as a mother goes to her child. It is perfectly true to say that the easiest, shortest, and quickest path to reach Sai is the repetition of his sweet and glorious name that makes the mortal and immortal and changes man into God. My boys, your sweet Sai is always with you and in you. Be happy. With love, Sathya Sai Baba in Premadara 2. So the questions given were, the first question was, what is the easiest, shortest, and quickest way to reach Sai? The points discussed were as follows. The easiest, shortest, and quickest way would be chanting, doing sadhana, having lots of love, need to be fearful of God, the fear of doing wrong, fear of sin, cry out in love, prayers, satsang, and bhajans. So I call Brother James to continue this on this topic.
Sairam sister, Sairam brother and sister.
Yeah.
I do agree that easier shortest way to reach God actually is by chanting. I remember in my early years, there was a very very common and very serious case where robbery was happening all over KL, you know. So the targeted one are like a mobile phone and electrical shop. So mine is an electrical shop. So before the robbers came, before robbery came, you know, a sign was given to me that they are coming, you know, the next day or something like that, you know. True enough, they came, you know, they are much bigger size than me. And that time, because I knew Swami, I only know how to chant Om Sairam, not even Gayatri yet, Om Sairam only. In a sense that, you know, these robbers are not ordinary people, you know. They are like ex-police, ex-army officer. They're bigger size than me, you know, right? And the thing was, when they came in, before they came in, I actually knew. Actually, that morning when I was driving to the office, I was pondering over whether I should, you know, prepare myself with some weapon, you know, maybe a bamboo stick or something like that, you know. But when I went to shop, I was so busy, I didn't have time to go to the neighbor to buy, you know, whatever weapon I had. But I think it's because Swami is a blessing. Even if I were to have the, you know, the rattan and all that, I don't think I can fight with them because they are much bigger size. You know, they are very actually professional people. You know, in fact, when we reported, the police told me they are ex-army, ex-police officer. That's why they are, you know, very well built. You know, the interesting thing was the first before they came, I already knew when they walk in. I know these are the robbers. You know, they didn't actually wear any mask. You know, very well dressed gentlemen like that. You know. When they walk in, I know they are robbers. So instantly, I start chanting only Om Saram, Om Saram, Om Saram. You know, the beautiful thing was when I chant Om Saram, suddenly I heard like a gust of wind, boom, like that, you know. It's just that I knew that, like, you know, Swami is already there protecting, you know. And all my clerk and worker are stand behind me, you know. They were very scared. They stand behind me, you know. So I just keep on chanting. Inside me, I keep on chanting. Because there were so many of these cases very rampant in KL at the time. The period was very bad period, you know. What happened was, I have actually have a good friend, another electrical shop. They have like, what you say, they were robbed a few $1,000s, and then also took their electrical products. My case was very, very different. They came, look in, one of them was very angry, but I think the leader was very cool. He was watching me, you know. So I don't know, he was smiling and watching me, you know. So the one who got very angry, the leader keep on asking to cool down, you know. Because why? In my cashier, he only got 600 ringgit only, 600 ringgit. And when they left, I think at least three of them, maybe one in the car waiting, you know. Probably they are armed, I wouldn't know, right? But they were armed, of course. I mean, armed means they got weapon, like gun and all that. They didn't take out any gun. I think they only took a parang, you know. That mean knife, you know, parang, long knife, you know. So just took my $600 and left without taking anything, you know. While my friend one taken few thousand plus the product, plus the worker beaten up and enter, and they actually hospitalized, you know. So like that was a protecting shield, you know. And that was just chanting Om Sai Ram only. So nowadays I always do what I call I think most of our brothers sisters always do Om Sai Ram chanting beside Gayatri, right? So it's very good to read Sai when you really chant from the heart, you know, right? So that was a experience I can share with you. The other thing is, of course, we know that like whatever we do, that we always think of God first. Then even we don't think of God. For me, let's say you forgot about God, doesn't matter, because why? For me, like everything happened, whether good or bad, it is divine will. So it's whether I can accept and surrender or not. Somehow I think we, after so many years of practice, we tend to like can accept and also can surrender, because somehow we find that there may be a reason why this thing happened. Because in spiritual say there's nothing bad. Good or bad happen to you is for your good. So there is a truth in that. For my case, I find that is the truth. Very bad thing happened to me, actually it's for my own good. In the end, after a few years or after many years, you look back, it's because of the bad thing happened that today I'm much better. You know? So there's nothing bad now. So the truth is sometimes not easy for people who are not spiritual to practice. But if you really on the spiritual path, once you know the truth, you will try to practice and put it into use. No point what got pointing finger, blaming others, you know, or talking about your bad luck, you know. But whatever it is in our life, like every day we try to do our best in whatever we do. And then we also like practice, like leave the result to him. So everything is like God comes first, you know. Just leave it to him. Fear of God, some people will practice this. I think we are used to like God is love, you know. Of course, those who are new might, you know, if they got bad habit or that, then they have to fear God, you know. For us, like more like, you know, it's not fear of God. It's we know that God is love. That's all, you know. Fear is when we are facing the problem and difficulty and how to overcome, and that's why we start chanting, talking to Him, you know. Hopefully, we see how to find a solution to solve the problem, right? A fear of sin is very true. Yeah, we really have to fear of sin. Whatever we do, we must not like have ego. You know, when we have ego, I think the sin will easily come. you know. So the thing is, in whatever we do, lah, you know, in being a spiritual aspirant, one of the things that we should practice, like always be humble, loving, and helpful to people. Of course, we have to be always using our wisdom and discrimination, because Swami said that is given to you, right? Even with that, if you do something wrong, it's also okay, because it's the learning lesson, learning curve, right? When it comes to prayer, satsang, and bhajan, of course, I think we all know how good it is, lah. Although there are many of us who are still not used to like coming for bhajan or coming for satsang, you know. I think the thing is, it's from your heart, whether you are ready or not. Again, come to timing, you know. Like we all know, we started with so many people, maybe 99 or something, and then 50, and then now probably about 30, 40 of them, right? So I would not say we are good, but I think being a seeker, we should try our best, try to do the right thing, follow the right way of doing things. I think satsang, bhajan, and prayers are all very good. Sign up.
Sairam, you took us through all the points that were discussed that day. So in short, what we realize is there's no easy and quick path. It's a sadhana that they have to follow basically throughout life. Is that it? Is that which is what you were telling us? Chanting, and it has to come like it has to.
Oh yeah, sister. Yes, definitely, yeah.
Anybody has anything to add to this? Or actually, I was wondering, what is reaching sai? What does it mean? What does the word reaching sai mean?
What is it about? Sorry, sister.
No,
Liberation. Liberation.
Can it mean to connect? Quickest way to connect with Sai.
Yeah.
Unconditional love and selfless service.
maybe then we can move on to the second question.
Sadhana.
How should we chant God's name? The points discussed were with gratitude, having love and faith, without ego. Sister Maya shared, during cooking she chants. So the other sister Maya, she said she writes diaries and communicates feels his presence all the time. 4 ways: Kirtan, Sankirtan, contemplating on the form, and Dhyanam, meditating on. This is how the question was, how should we chant God's name? I invite Brother Ramanathan. Is he here?
Sairam, sister, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah,
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you start off, brother? Then I will share this next few slides after that.
Okay, sister, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Sairam, everybody. That was an introduction given by Sister Tara, how we should chant and what we discussed. Hello? Chanting is actually repetition of the name of God or deity from a sacred text. And this is commonly used as a spiritual practice. And the purpose of doing that, it provides a connection between yourself and your inner self, between yourself and the deity, which is in your mind, or the God, or the form which you have formed in your mind of that particular deity. There's a connection. And as you repeat the name of this deity, as shown in the text, for instance, Om Namah Shivaya, that's a text. That's a 5-syllable mantra. And if you keep chanting, and if you form the picture in your mind, you are getting connected. The more you chant and earnestly with love, you are getting closer. That requires love, discipline, and the earnestness will help you to reach the point which you are thirsting for. Chanting is a practice that deepens the connection with the source and with those around us. It's a powerful sense of oneness occurs during chanting. Chanting makes you highly charged, and this repetitive force creates an energy within you, and that energy will dispel all distractions. So chanting can be done loudly. Vachik japa. Upam su is chanting which only the chanter can hear. And the manasic chanting is when you are chanting inside you silently. So you can do even silent chanting. Most religions, they have chanting. The Christians, there is a prayer which is known as Hail Mary, and they keep on chanting this, thinking of Mother Mary. In Judaism, there's chanting. Islam, they will say Allahu Akbar, God is great. And you have got in Hinduism, like Om Namah Shivaya. In Buddhism, there are lots of mantras in Buddhism. There's a heart mantra, and then there are other mantras which they recite for your parents, for those who have passed away, for teachers, for your brothers and sisters, siblings, for friends, and all these prayers are supposed to bring gratitude for whatever they have done for you, and this recitation gives you a very good feeling of connectivity with them. So that is the power of chanting. And Shirdi Baba says, if a man utters my name with love, I shall fulfill all his wishes, increase his devotion. So your devotion gets increased as a result of chanting. Shirdi Baba also says, how can they be conscious of the world, worldly objects and sensations who utter my name? You chant Shirdi Baba's name, or chant any deity's name or God's name, and what happens is all the distractions which are within you, the agitations, everything get dispelled, and your mind becomes very clear. So that is the power of chanting. Now, we just read what Sister Maya had found in one of the books, in the compendiums of Sai Baba's teachings, and she has said that there are 4 ways of chanting: kirtan, sankirtan, community singing, contemplating on the form, and dhyanam. Now, we will now concentrate on what Swami has explained about mantras and repetitions of the name. And this is referred in Pranastora Vahini, chapter 13. First question is, Swami asks, somebody is asking the question, is there any mantra or repetition of the name Japa that will give us this peaceful Shanti state that you spoke about just now? If there's any, which is the important one? Question is, which is the important mantra? You can see there, mantra and repetition, you can see it on the screen. Mantra and repetition of the names are essential for all types of people. What is mantra? Ma means manam, manana, reflection and understanding. Tra means saving. So mantra means that which can save you if you meditate on it. A mantra will save you from being caught up in the course of this worldly life, which is infested with death, grief, and pain. Of all mantras, the Om Pranava, the Om, is the highest and the best. It is the very head and crown of all of them. So that is the instruction of Swami. Om, the importance of Om in any mantra. Suppose each one does repetition of the name of their chosen deity according to their own light. I believe it is not wrong, or is it? That's the question. And then Swami answers, you mean that however savage or foolish people may be, they cannot but call on the Lord. Well, if the name is recited along with Om, it is bound to be beneficial. Just as the waters of the ocean are raised into the sky by the rays of the sun, and then falling as rain, form rills and rivers and rush towards the ocean to become the waters of the ocean again, so all sounds and mantras that were once only Om reach the Om through repetition and other disciplines and rites. They all get merged in Rome, their souls. Swami, some elders have said that the more seed mantras, that's bija aksharas, a mantra has, the more effective it is. Are such mantras to be preferred to others that have only a few seed syllables? I don't agree with the view, Swami says, that fewer seed syllables diminish the chance for concentration in meditation. Spiritual seekers would be benefited more if they repeat the 5 syllables or 8 syllables with Om Pranava added in the beginning. So in any mantra, you start with Om. When they have proceeded some distance thus, that they can give up even the words, concentrate on the form depicted through the sound, and transform the mantra into God, Devata himself. That is why the scripture, Shruti says, Brahma is silence, the absence of sound. Nishsabdo Brahma Uchyati. So that would be the answer of Swami. How he wants you to reach the point of silence. How are we to create a vacuum of sound? How can that be Brahman? The scriptures declare, says Swami, that this objective world is worldly illusion, Maya. They also say that he who has all this illusion under his control is the master, Ishvara. So try to have all this illusion under control and become the Lord yourself. That's discipline. The stage when, as far as you are concerned, the objective world has come to naught in the stage when you attain the supreme absolute Brahman. Until the objective world is set to naught, you cannot attain Brahman. That is certain. Like the snake that discards its skin and assumes a new skin, the spiritual aspirant discards the old skin and puts on the skin of the deity indicated by the mantra upon which the aspirant concentrates. So powerful is contemplation. So powerful is the time when you form the picture of the deity in your mind. Pardon me, Swami, I can't understand all this. Make it clear through some more examples. You have seen an egg, yes? When the bird sits on the egg for some time, the chick grows inside it to its full stature. When the shell of the egg is broken, the chick emerges and assumes its real form. In the same way, when the spiritual aspirant with a purified consciousness dwells on the mantra and its meaning, and revolves its significance in the mind without a break, the vision grows in his mind without a break. The shell of ignorance, ajnana, breaks, and the aspirant shines in the splendor of the divinity that has formed in the consciousness. All things originate from Om, Pranava, and all things finally merge in Om, they say. Then why do the very elders who say this declare that some can pronounce this and some cannot. Swami's answer: what is the world except commingling of the 5 elements? The Om is the very life of all the elements, so it is life breath of the world itself. The roar of waters falling down a cliff and the beating of the waves on a promontory of the shore repeat only the Om. The sound of inhaling and exhaling is itself the sacred sound, pranava, isn't it? Whether they know it or not, the hey-ho of the men who carry a palanquin on their shoulders, the hey of those who lift weights, the hey-ho of those who beat clothes on slabs by the riverside, all resound with Om. Repeat it with a full knowledge of its inner significance, and you will soon be relieved of the burden of this world's worry. That is the significance of Om. The Om Pranava of the breathing process is also the savior from grief. It is meaningless to argue that some have the right to utter the Om and some don't. Those who don't breathe may not have the authority to utter it, but all who breathe are reciting it already in the process. So there is no sense in denying it to anyone. Do you know Krishna's reply when Arjuna asked how one should remember the Lord at the point of death? He said that one should recall to the mind the Om, which is undifferentiated from him. He said that such a devotee will attain the highest goal. So everyone has a right to this great mantra, the Om sound, pranava. How can the goal be reached through meditation practice of the Om sound? How can the person who meditates become transformed into the thing meditated upon? Please make this unequal mantra and the way it helps us clear to me by means of an illustration. Swami's answer: very good. The Om sound pranava is the bow. The Atma is the arrow. The universal absolute Brahman is the target. Like the practitioner of the art of archery, the spiritual aspirant must be unaffected by things that agitate the mind. The bowman who is paying one-pointed attention to the target is filled with the target and becomes the thing meditated on. In the Kaivalya Upanishad, the Mundaka Upanishad, and various parts of the scriptures, Shruti, the Om is extolled in various ways. Hence, the mantra which liberates people can be recited and meditated by all. All can practice Om worship. You need have no doubt on this point. A very salient point here is the emphasis on Om. What you should never do is never forget the Om before any mantra. Because of all the answers which Swami has given, you have to make it as a habit and your second nature in order to become the archer, in order to reach the target, and in order to reach the goal of reciting the mantras in order to be one with Swami within you. Sairam. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
You shared the Prashnottara Vahini, chapter 13, which talks all about the important, how to chant mantras. How should we chant God's name? So now you go to the third question, which will be done by Sister Chandrika. Sister is sharing her own slides, so she'll be.
Saira, can I share screen, Dara?
Yeah.
Brother Billy?
Sure, sure. Just give me 1 minute.
Well, my question is, what should you remember when you start sadhana? You need to know what exactly sadhana is in the first place. I got this definition. It's a spiritual exercise enabling the inward path to divinity. And there are 3 ways in which sadhana can be carried out by sadhakas. Sadhakas meaning those who carry out sadhanas. And we must be very careful that when we do sadhana, it should not fall into the first 2 categories. Now, what could that be? The first type is a sadhana which the monkeys practice, and it's called Margata sadhana. So far as the monkey is concerned, it goes to a tree, plucks a fruit, but does not eat it then and there. It jumps from one branch to another and loses, in this process, it loses this fruit altogether. And this is a kind of sadhana where we want quick results. We want to see God quickly. And in this process, we go on changing the objective of our sadhana every day and change from place to place like a monkey. Second is called Vihanga sadhana. It's typical of sadhana practiced by birds. It can be compared with the behavior of a bird that swoops down on a fruit and hits it so sharply that the fruit drops on the ground. And in the process, the bird loses its objective. The third is called the Pipilika sadhana, or the sadhana practiced by ants. As is well known, an ant breaks up all items it wants to eat into very small bits, carries each bit slowly and steadily, and brings them to its own location. It is always successful in acquiring its food. Even in sadhana, we have to be slow, we have to be steady, and that will enable you to attain your objective. Just as these ants cut their food into small pieces and bring them back home and eat them at leisure and fearlessly, so also we must not swerve from our path. We must keep the objective in our mind, and we should not let our vision flutter. Thus, for our spiritual progress, we should maintain discipline and keep the mind under control. And we should do everything in the name of God. So, what are the intricacies related to sadhana? I found a conversation between man and God, man here being Dr. Hislop, and Bhagavan answers a barrage of questions from Hislop, one of which is the following. Hislop asks, in the West, sadhana is generally taken to be a process of self-improvement, but that implies identification with the changing personality. So Swami says, first, there may be the urge to self-improve, but the next stage is inquiry, and the inquiry into the reality of this and that. In fact, Swami says 7/10 of sadhana is in inquiry. And on further reading, I found Swami Chinmayananda too echoing what Swami says. He says the finest of sadhanas is self-inquiry or Atma Vichara. Inquire into the true nature of one's individuality. It is not open to the ordinary sadhakas to take up this path. It is successfully employed by the highly evolved sadhaka who is on the verge of realization. For such sadhakas, no more and no other sadhana is needed. To the sadhakas who have not yet come to this final or to the fine stage of inquiry, the 3 Vedantic paths of karma, bhakti, and jnana are helpful. So let's look at sadhana in the form of karma yoga. A man who is more identified with his physical body finds it easy to work on the path of action, which is Karma Yoga. And it has 3 facets, each of which polishes one aspect of the jewel of the mind of the Karma Yogi. The first facet is the thoroughness of the performance. Okay, and action has to be perfect like that of an expert who gets the maximum results with the minimum effort. Now, that bit I didn't quite agree. Maximum results with minimum effort, because I always felt that when we do this karma yoga, it is maximum results with maximum effort. I don't quite understand that. The next facet is the sublimation of the desire. That's fine. The usual motive behind an action is some benefit for oneself. But in the evolved field of karma yoga, the motive of an action is to be sanctified by offering it to the Lord. The final facet is to get mentally detached while an action is being performed. Thus, the ego is rubbed out in the field of action by the karma yogin. So, I mean, I saw this picture and I thought it was exemplified here, where you can find the old ants, and they're very good karma yogins, right? Go on to bhakti yoga. This is identification is more with the mind. The sadhaka turns in love to a personal form of the Lord and starts worshipping him. Bhakti is a wooing in love, and the 9 forms of it are expressed by the devotee while serving the Lord. For the devotee, the deity is real. He gets visions. And in the path of love, the devotee establishes a personal relationship with his Ishtadeva, actually, like that of a friend, Sakhya, like that of a parent, Vatsalya, like a servant, Dasya, a wife, Kanta, and even like a beloved, Madhurya. Dedicating all actions to his Ishta, the devotee forgets his own separate existence and merges in the Lord. His ego melts in the white heat of love, and it's exemplified here in this picture. Jnana Yoga. When the identification is with the intellect, he takes to the path of knowledge. With the help of scriptures, his intellect shrewdly probes into the true nature of the world and the individual, and breaks his ego with the hard bricks of reasoning. You have Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, which are the 3 stages of this Jnana Yoga. Shravana, one listens to a teacher and understands the scriptural truths, and then he's exposed to higher thinking. Next, reflection or manana. He gains a firm and deep conviction, and it gets him involved in Vedantic knowledge. And finally, he has to live the truths understood by him, and this is called Nididhyasana, or the commitment to spiritual life. The ego gets blown to pieces in this rational and logical approach to truth. The above 3 Vedantic paths also require a degree of maturity and ripeness in the sadhaka. Otherwise, the paths will not come naturally and will not yield satisfactory results. Lesser evolved sadhakas are provided with some other means of hastening the maturity. Devotee. Sadhana, as it is described, seems wrong because it's a conscious effort aimed at getting a reward. It seems to me that sadhana is real only when it is spontaneous. So Swami says, yes, but you have not experienced the spontaneous love for God. It is still just an idea. You have a conviction that love for God exists naturally in you. But Swami says, and this is very important, he says that conviction itself is the result of many lives spent in spiritual practice. And that's very encouraging for all of us. Devotee. Swami, if sadhana and conviction do not bring the experience, how is one to get it? And Swami says, through steady sadhana. Just as with ourselves now, in this car, we need to concern ourselves only with the careful driving of the car. in due course, we will arrive at Anantapur, wouldn't we? With correct and steady sadhana, the actual experience of the one will naturally come about. Something like that, that one that we just came, through the ants thingy. I can't remember what it's called, but yes, Swami echoes it, that idea here. Devotee, Swami says that at a certain stage in sadhana, the exterior nature ceases. How is that? And Swami replies, there are 10 stages in sadhana. Now, this is very interesting, something that I've not come across at all. I tried looking, I really didn't find anything except in this particular text. It says there are 10 stages in sadhana, each cognized by sounds of various types, ranging through different vibrations like the bell, the flute, the conch, the om, and thunder. The 10th stage is reached when the senses are transcended, and beyond the senses, it is the state of bliss. But I'm a little curious as to how these vibrations and sadhana are interconnected. Anyway, devotee, is that state of bliss experienced only for a time? What happens in the daily round of life? So Swami says that state remains always. Then it is always bliss. He thinks God, eats God, drinks God, breathes God, lives God. Devotee asked, does everyone pass through these 10 stages? Swami says, no. One may go direct to the 10th, the transcendental state, or to stage 6 or 7, or not progress at all. It is not uniform for all. That is a very interesting thing too. Now, devotee, what should be one's attitude to these stages in sadhana as one encounters each stage one by one? Swami says that state changes, but the attitude should be unchanging. Devotee asks, but what value should one give to the various states? Swami says the sadhaka will not be satisfied with any of the states. For complete union is the goal. Desire remains strong until the transcendental bliss is realized, and then desire ceases. So, what should you remember when you start sadhana? In sadhana, the sadhak must be motivated by spontaneity and by pure intentions and a willingness to sacrifice. If at the very start of your sadhana you feel that you're doing everything by divine will and power, your progress will be easy. There are some people who do japa and are very proud of the fact that they're doing it. They think they're superior to others, and that's going to be very harmful. And spiritual aspirants have to remove egoism from their nature. Take Hanuman as your example, as a sadhak. He served Rama regardless of obstacles of all types. Though he was strong, learned, and virtuous, he had no trace of pride. When asked who he was by the Rakshasas or the demons in Lanka, into which he had entered so daringly, he describes himself in all humility as the servant of Rama. And that is a fine example of uprooting of the ego, which a sadhak must possess. No one can do sadhana while his ego is rampant. Krishna was known to all as Almighty, yet the enthusiasm to do seva prompted him to approach Dharmaraja, the eldest of the Pandava brothers, on the eve of the magnificent Rajasuya Yagna, I think. And he offered to take up a sadhana of any kind, and he suggested that he might be given the menial task of cleaning the dining hall after the guests have partaken of the feast. Krishna insisted on outer cleanliness and inner cleansing. The Lord thus set the example for the devotees to follow. During the battle of Kurukshetra, which climaxed the Mahabharata story, Krishna served as the driver of the chariot of Arjuna throughout the day on the field, and when dusk caused the adjournment of the fight, he led the horses to the river, gave them a refreshing bath, and applied healing balms to the wounds suffered by them. He mended the reins and the harness, and he rendered the chariot battle worthy for another day. Arjuna, on the other hand, did at times forget the true nature of Krishna and was arrogant at times towards Krishna. One such instance was when Arjuna refused to alight from the chariot before Krishna, whom he treated as his charioteer. Krishna told him to alight first, for otherwise, Krishna knew that the chariot, with all the strain of the Kurukshetra war, would have been burnt with Arjuna in it. Every one of you, says Swami, must become a sevak or servant, eager to help those who need it. When the sevak becomes the nayak, leader, the world will prosper. Only a servant or kinkara can grow into a shankara. Of course, one has to eliminate the ego totally. Even a trace of it will bring disaster. However long you may do dhyana, however constant your japa, a little ego will render them barren of results. Similarly, bhajan done with egoistic pride will be as harsh as the crow's call. So try to avoid the ego marring your sadhana, even to a small extent. You all know the story of sage Vishwamitra, who had, as a result of severe tapas for years, earned the power even to create another heaven amenable to his will, but his ego made him intensely passionate and short-tempered. Now, let's take a look at the next story. This is what I normally do in Balavikas, of what ego does to a pandit. I'm sure many of you are quite familiar with the story of a pandit and a milkmaid. There was a highly learned pandit in a village who led a disciplined life. He was very proud of his knowledge. He woke up from sleep in the early hours of the morning, recited mantras, and later, after a bath, drank a cup of milk at 7 a.m. exactly. He used to give discourses regularly to the villagers. They used to respect him for his knowledge and advice. Every day, a milkmaid, a little young girl, used to deliver milk early in the morning to the pandit's house. The girl would cross the river in a small boat. Sometimes she arrived late, for she lived on the other side of a river. One day, the pandit scolded her and said, "You're upsetting my disciplined life. Don't you know that I must have my cup of milk at 7 a.m.? Why do you depend on that boat to take you across? Just repeat the name of Rama. You'll be able to walk across the river. Rama will see that you don't get drowned." Thus, the Pandit would give huge sermons on how to develop love, faith, devotion to God, and how Namasmarana can help one cross all the difficulties in life. He used to chant long slokas and prayers to show off his knowledge. The poor illiterate villagers would be in awe listening to these stories of the Lord. All went well till one day there was a terrible storm. The boatman refused to take his passengers across the river. The girl was in a fix. She was a very conscientious little girl, and she desperately wanted to do her duty, but she could not. Suddenly, she had an idea. A few days before, in a talk, the Pandit had told her that in times of trouble, all we need to do is chant his name with faith, and God will protect us. The Pandit had also said that they could cross the river without the help of the boatman during terrible storms. She had great faith in the Pandit's words, and so she bravely stepped out into the river, and lo and behold, she crossed the wide river without any difficulty, except that she got quite wet from the big waves in the middle. She quietly delivered the milk to the Pandit early that morning. Pandit was so surprised to see her early in the morning when there was such a terrible storm. How did she manage to cross the river? Pandit questioned her about it. The milkmaid said it was simple. She had just followed his teachings and without waiting for the boatman, crossed the river, chanting the name of the Lord. The Pandit was flabbergasted. He thought she was making up stories and asked to be shown how she crossed the river. The milkmaid took him to the river and started chanting the Lord's name, and she started walking on the river. She asked the Pandit to do the same. As soon as the Pandit touched the water, he was very cautious of getting his clothes wet, and he fell into the river. His attention was more on the clothes than on the Lord. He had no faith in his own sermons. The Sathya Sai organization in many countries has rendered to cattle, to beasts, to men, laudable sadhana. Keeping the environment of residences clean, providing help to those who live around the place, going to hospitals, serving the patients. Such acts of service, the members must, in such acts of service, the members must take an active part. Many do such things now as social service, not as a sadhana in a full-hearted manner. The sadhana spirit, Swami says, is not found in the activity. The Sathya Sai organization has laid down seva as sadhana in order to uproot from your mind this evil trait. Service helps you to remove the ego. So don't pay heed to what others might say when you engage in service activities. When you are doing good acts, why hesitate? Why feel ashamed? Why fear? Let compassion and sacrifice be your two eyes. Let egolessness be your breath and love be your tongue. Let peace reverberate in your ears. These are the 5 vital elements you have to live upon. God will not ask you when and where did you do service. He will ask, with what motive did you do it? You may weigh the seva and boast of its quantity, but God seeks the quality of the heart, the purity of the mind, the holiness of the motive. I recollect a story that was intriguing and inspiring that was narrated by Brother Aravind Balasubramania. He says once there was a bad odor, it seems, many years ago, pervading Prashanti because the septic tank was blocked. And to unblock it, even a machine was unable to do it. So someone had to go into that smelly tank and clear the sewage that was filled with excreta. Everyone just stood there not knowing what to do. No one wanted to go in. Suddenly, there was this gentleman, he was all in white and he was a sevadal. He jumped into the blocked sewage tank and with his bare hands removed all the excreta and let the water flow through. The problem was solved. The sevadal was covered from head to toe with excreta. The other sevaks quickly brought a hosepipe and cleaned him, and he disappeared into the crowd. He was not expecting any praises for the noble deed he did. A few days later, when all the sevadals lined up to receive Swami's Pada Namaskar, this sevak was also one of them. When it came to his turn to get blessings from Swami, Swami just told him, there's no more rebirth for you. The way this man did his sadhana was what pleased Swami. No ego, not expecting any reward, and his main objective, was merely to serve and to please Swami. Just like Hanuman attained identity with Rama through his service, through his seva to Lord Rama, Arjuna too considered every act as sadhana to attain the grace of Krishna. It was Krishna who directed Arjuna to fight on, ever keeping him in memory. We too should keep God ever in our minds as the pace setter, whether we are serving patients in the hospital or cleaning drains in the bazaar. That is the penance, the tapas, that is the highest form of sadhana. More than listening to 100 lectures or delivering them to others or offering just one act of genuine seva attracts the grace of God. The body has to be utilized for service to others. Activity is its main purpose. Krishna says, I've no need to be engaged in work, but I do work in order to activate the world. More ananda can be won by serving others than what can be got by merely serving oneself. Offer service to someone in need with a full heart and experience the ananda that results. It need not be something big. It can be small, unnoticed by others. It has to be done to please the God within you and him. Sairam.
Sairam, thank you. Yes, very, very elaborate and very nicely expressed ideas. Actually, there's a lot of ideas there, especially the dialogue sessions between Swami and the devotee. Are there any questions anybody like to ask?
Sairam, discussion rather than discussion, open discussion. I think just now Tantika mentioned where, when you do seva, we put in a lot of effort. And, the actual reading was minimum effort.
Mm.
In a relative sense, she's correct, but in spiritual sense, it is different. You see, normal people put in a lot of effort, but if you are really what I call love without duty, is minimum effort. When you do it with so much love, time, energy, just fly, So to you, it's like there's no effort at all, You just love to do it. I think that is the real meaning of the sentence. I don't know whether you all will agree to it or not.
All right. Thank you, brother. I didn't really look at it like that because for me, whatever I do, I put in maximum effort, mainly because I always feel that Swami is my witness. And I always feel that the best goes for him. Whatever I do, it must be the best. So I
Yeah.
put in a lot of effort, but I've never come across this. I've not had that feeling, where it's, I feel like I've put in only minimum effort. That I've not reached that stage.
Actually, it's not putting it minimum. It's the same effort. Actually, you just love to do it. That's why you don't find there's the effort at all.
Now it's become part of my routine, I think. Yeah.
Huh?
It's
Yeah,
become like part of my routine. So yeah,
part of
maybe
routine, something like that. You
yeah.
don't love to do it, it's
Yeah.
no more like effort, you just love
Yeah.
to do it. Right?
But I don't know whether I love to do it, but I do it.
So I don't know. When I go to center to do, I feel very, very happy, and then time flies, So you don't feel like you're putting effort, You just enjoy doing it. So it's like effortless already. Something like less effort. I wouldn't say effortless. It's like not so much effort.
Sairam, on the same subject matter, this minimum effort, could it mean by using correct methods, like that no need to go in a roundabout way by applying wisdom to whatever we do. So that is minimum effort. Yes.
True, in a way, yes.
That's quite an interesting, yeah. Yeah, probably you could look at it like that. Yeah.
The other Deepak Chopra talks about this, where he speaks about the law of least effort. He says that when you are in a flow, minimum effort is exerted because everything conspires with yourself to achieve the desired result because you are in a flow. So especially, for example, you can see when a musician is totally connected to his music, it is the inspired work that results in very beautiful music coming out. Like that, a painter, like that, an artist, like that, a scientist, everyone who is immersed in his work, completely connected, there is something else that happens that brings out an inspired work. But when the inspired work doesn't come out, where we force to work and there's so much effort is taken, then sometimes a lot of difficulty and challenges one needs to go through. So the whole idea is actually to be connected. I think when Swami is mentioning this with minimum effort, it's a lot of connection where you yourself don't realize it, but you're taken by him to that destination, to that desired results. I think that state is a very important state to be. That's why some people you'll find are able to achieve a lot of things, doing many things. They're able to achieve it very easily. They achieve. Some people take so much trouble and struggle, and they find difficulty to achieve something. So this spiritual inspired work is a result of connectivity, which leads you to doing things with very little effort, where you don't realize. That's what James said. We don't realize that effort, but we are just doing it like a flute. The flute doesn't realize. It just somebody is blowing the thing, and out of that flute, the music comes out. You see. So the whole idea is to become like a hollow flute. In fact, the whole sadhana subject that we spoke about is just to completely come to a state where you become a hollow flute.
The other thing is, I think it's very interesting where Tantrika brought up the point of 10 stages in your sadhana. The last one, of course, is a silent breeze, which most meditators normally practice to that level. The other night, I did heard from friends. Oh, James, I used to hear this. Oh, I did hear this conch sound and all that. They're so impressed, surprised, and probably attached. Then I just tell them, hey, all these things are not important, which is true. Actually, you see light and all that. These are just the substation, as Brother Dr. Suri explained very clearly. Side up.
Yeah, on what Brother James mentioned about the 10th stage, which Sister Chandrika mentioned, the sound of the thunder. I once read about it in Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahamsa Yogananda, where he said that where he prescribed one type of meditation where you use the thumb to close your ear, and then you listen to the sound inside your body, and he said you hear this sound at different stage of your sadhana, even the sound of the bumblebee, things like that. So yeah,
That's interesting, brother. It's really, I really have not come across. I do it.
I once tried, but I wasn't consistent, so I could hear probably the sound of the
Right.
heartbeat.
Yeah, this bumblebee, yes. Yes, there's sound, isn't it? Yeah, come to think of it. Yes, correct.
Okay. So Tara, anything else? Any other questions? Any other points?
No, this is, the letter that was shared and we went through the 3 questions. So,
That question answer which Swami did with the, I think that is those are very interesting nuggets, which probably if you replay back, maybe you can pick up a few more things from there, what Swami said. And then the different type of sadhana, whether it's monkey sadhana or ant sadhana, these are all good things to reflect, because is our consistency like the monkeys, or is it where consistently we are doing, it's for us to evaluate where we are or what we are, so that we can improve our own sadhana. It's not it's like like index is giving us an index. Can that be projected? Because I think it's very,
yeah, just 1 minute.
especially the ones that Swami is talking about.
Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, where Swami says, is it?
Yeah, that question answer.
That one where Swami talks about that Pipilika.
Yeah.
Yeah, Swami does say that. Yeah. 1 minute.
No, okay, no, the monkey one. Let's go to the monkey one. I just saw that monkey sadhana. You see, this is a very important point, this one. You see, here it says, in this process, it loses the fruit altogether. This is the kind of sadhana we want quick results. We want to see God quickly, and in this process, we go on changing the objective of sadhana every day and change from place. So the thing is, here is where the steadfastness comes in. Steadfastness, Shraddha, is where we take something and then continuously focus that. The reason why this is becoming very obvious is because Bhagavan mentions in Monsoon Showers part 1, where Swami says that for the Buddhi Shakti to develop, one of the ingredients is, other than Satyam, Hridam, Yoga, is this Shraddha, consistency. So when we take something up, continuously we dedicate, continuously we focus, continuously practice, then you find that there is a kind of steadiness that comes into our practice, which eventually is supposed to invoke intelligence, Buddhi Shakti. If we just keep hopping here and there and doing a little bit here, a little bit there, we will not get the full results of what we should be doing. So whether each of us must evaluate now, is it the book, is the consistency like book reading, is it consistently we are doing, or we are doing meditation consistently, or japas consistently? It's the consistency that is going to give the results, not the sporadic activity. That is the point here in the monkey example of the monkey, you see.
Sister Chandrika,
Can I-
here, go to
can I
the
add
next
a
slide.
Sorry.
On the bird.
Can I
Yeah.
add yeah.
Yeah.
I think Suresh was mentioning, I just want to share one recent example. There was, I would say, a side brother. Today is 70 plus. At 20 something, he learned a meditation, which I know is good, was good, and it's good, He told me his story. When I was in university, somebody taught me this meditation. I was thinking, wow, this fellow started very early, Now 30 plus, 20 plus, at the university, he learned the right kind of meditation. All right. And then he said, later on, there was another time where I went to learn again, another type of meditation. So I think he would have forgotten the first one. Then later in life, he learned another one again, I don't know. I can't talk to him like that. I cannot straightforward tell him because he's more senior than me. So now he said, James, when is your next one? I would like to really, I think probably now he is connected to our group. So I think he picked up certain very good point because of all his years of such, trying this. Now he's getting back to the right path. So this one I think is referred to the monkey side. There are many people who are like that. They'll jump from one tree to another tree, and then in the end you run down the bush. Side up.
Yeah.
Sister
Wait,
Chandrika,
yeah.
how would you explain this one, which I don't quite catch it?
I think well, let's see. Have I muted myself?
No,
Right.
we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like someone wanting a particular objective fast. And finally, they lose sight of the objective.
I see.
It is a bit too hasty, I think. I think so. I don't know. And finally, whatever the objective, it kind of gets lost. Is that what it is? The others?
Yeah, I quite think so. How about the next slide?
No, wait, let's finish this one. This is a nice one. Because believe the thing is, Vihanga Sadhana, one more point here is that, you see, in the organization, we work with people, we work with projects, we work with all kinds of circumstances and situations. And the real reason why all this happens is why an organization is given is for us to continuously interact, experience, and learn from everybody. But unfortunately, we find also that in the process of doing something that which has got both or 3 or 4 people have got the same good objectives, but unfortunately, when they're interacting, you'll find that sometimes misunderstanding can take place, or sometimes some people are very sharp, or some people can be very hard, and then the drifting off takes place, and then suddenly we all go to the same place, but suddenly no communication takes place. So at the end of the day, we lost the objectivity of that exercise, because the whole objective was to be together and collectively be, but suddenly we find that certain other things takes priority, and we lose sight of the bigger picture of that experience.
Yeah.
So this is a very powerful example. I just hit me like crazy, because this is something very practical, very real, and we can lose. That's why we sometimes, we always say the project will always be successful, but whether we all are still with the same project, because people can move away or drift away.
But the objective is not attained, here. The fruit drops,
Yeah, correct. Because as a result of the misunderstanding, that individual has left. And therefore, the interaction, the intimacy, the happiness, the joy, all lost. That's the fruit. The fruit in which we should all be integrated.
Sairam.
Yeah. Sairam.
Sairam, I'd just like to add perhaps a different perception to this second part here. If you notice, Radhanath Swami from ISKCON, Deepak Chopra, Ramdas, who is a devout student of Baba Neem Karoli, all of them have tried LSD. So LSD and other psychoactive substances, all of them have a specific kind of, it gives a certain effect to the brain to an extent that it gets you into that state of oneness. And a lot of them actually feel that they are connected to the entire universe. That feeling somehow dawns upon them during the constant or whenever they use this particular substance. And it's actually quite famous because a lot of them, not only them, the Westerners and all, they try these mushrooms, psilocybin, and even other forms of substances which are consciousness elevating substances. So it actually heightens your consciousness to a different state where you're able to read mind, or you're able to do other things which you normally cannot do in this normal state of ours. So in this one interview where Radhanath Swami, even the same interview asked this question to asked the same question to Deepak Chopra. So both of them gave the same answer. So I'll just give you the answer for Radhanath Swami. What he said is that not only Radhanath Swami, so another Swami, a very famous Swami who is an Advaita master, he himself have tried this before. When they're young, they try all these things, and then eventually they realize that, oh, this is not the thing. So Radhanath Swami said in the interview, it's on YouTube, that of course using this kind of substances can get you an experience, but it does not, it can, just like this bird is hitting sharply at the fruit, it gives you that instant experience. But what then immediately he shakes his head and he says, but it doesn't get you there, and that is not it. So similarly, even Deepak Chopra says the same thing. Even Ramdas, Ramdas is a psychology professor from Harvard who left everything and went to Himalaya, and he wanted to be with his master Baba Neem Karoli. Baba Neem Karoli is believed to be the avatar of Hanuman living on the planet. So when he was there, he brought a huge quantity of LSD with him to the ashram. And every time now and then he'll pop in a few of this LSD into his mouth, and he'll start experiencing different states of consciousness where he's able to speak to angels and whatnot. And one day Baba Neem Karoli came out, and he asked Ramdas, what is that in your hands? And he showed LSD, and he actually gave this LSD to Baba Neem Karoli to ask him to try. In Ramdas's mind, it is as if that you have not experienced LSD, Swami, so you don't know what is LSD. Maybe you should try this. Then maybe your consciousness can get even higher than where you are right now. So the normal dose for LSD is about 300 microgram and nanogram to about 800 to 900 is considered very high. So he had all, because Ramdas is a regular user, so he had all the 900 patches, you know. So Baba Ramdas took the whole chunk of it and just put everything in his mouth. It's not Baba Ramdas, sorry. Baba Neem Karoli took the whole thing, put everything in his mouth, and at the same time, he sat in front of Ramdas and he smiled. And Ramdas was shocked because that amount can clearly render a person unconscious. And Baba Neem Karoli was just joyfully smiling in his normal state. There was no single difference at all. So just pertaining this second point here, I feel that we can also interpret it in the sense that if we aspire to achieve something in the wrong way using a particular shortcut, like taking this kind of ayahuasca, or some people go to the middle of the Amazon and they follow the shamans and they drink all this kind of herbal stuff, and then they want to achieve different states of consciousness. Yes, it can get you like just like this bird. It can perhaps help you get there in a fast way, but what happens is that as this bird does, the fruit falls and you miss the real chunk of bliss, which Baba Neem Karoli quite accurately teaches his disciple Ramdas in the third story. Sairam.
Wow. But,
That's
Why-
a good.
I think to me it looks that in this bird thing, the desire to reach the goal takes the priority than the sadhana. And that's why the bird loses it. So it's in the sadhaka also is like there's no patience, which in the sadhana we need patience, and the patience is the main thing which really grounds the devotee, the sadhaka, to the real path. So he doesn't move away. But when the desire is takes the mainstream, then what happens is that you try to get it, thinking that I can get it fast, and in that excitement, you lose the goal of the sadhana. So that is what I feel is that a steadfastness is a very must need for a sadhak to reach the goal. And once he realizes, he passes through that path, he's very steady, he's very calm. Where the bird is always restless to reach the fruit, and that is a chance that it loses the fruit itself. I think
Yeah,
that's the breakout.
there's restlessness and speed here, isn't it? Two things are indicated. I don't know. Isn't it? Restlessness of the doer and
Yes.
also a speed. The way
Yes.
that the word swoop, on a fruit.
Because I mean, the main aim is to desire. Of course, normally in meditation and sadhana, it happens itself. You don't have to aim for it. But here the bird is trying to aim for that mind usefulness and everything, whereas it's not taking the sadhana of constraining its energy, constraining its thoughts, constraining its mind, and just fixing on the goal. It just fixes, and then what happens that the mind gets it, but because of fast reach, it so happens that the goal is missed, because the mind, because it says that my goal is to reach the fruit, but it is not that fruit. Fruit is, it's the goal which he wants, but it has to come itself through the sadhana. Because normally they say that in you will lose yourself when you're doing sadhana, because the mind becomes calm, but here mind is very agitated. So that's the reason that this path is not very conducive to the real sadhana side.
I think Manoj is another good point you brought up. Brother Manoj is very good. Now, the other thing is, I think we notice, quite often we have new members coming in. They were excited, interested, devoted, put in, very happy to come to center to do all the work, everything. But after a few months, they disappear, So I think this is something like the bird lah. Initially you are very enthusiastic, very excited. Oh, this, this is something new, and then learn everything, but then the result doesn't come instant. So after some time, they just left the center.
I think it's more about the lack of consistency, isn't it?
In a way,
the lack of consistency.
expecting they know there's a result, but they don't have the patience. As Manoj said, they don't have the patience, and then they miss the target, because they don't have the patience and the tolerance, and the practice they have to practice is a long-term process. You see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, so we have got, yeah, good. So we got different perspectives to the same thing, but at least it diversifies our analogies. Next one.
This is what Swami talked about.
Okay, so how does this relate to our normal life?
So here it's talk about the discipline. You see the birds, the ants are so disciplined as compared to the bird.
Hmm.
I mean, they have the patience and they keep the food and eat it and when they are at ease. So this is how the sadhana should be, that we should move steadily, slowly, and once we are satisfied with our intake, our requirement for our path, and then we should relax and eat, because it's basically we want to relax the mind so that it gets the glimpses of our divine, of our Ishta. So I feel that these birds are the best way of training the mind. That first of all, it moves very steadily. It requires only, it nibbles down very little as per its requirement. And thirdly, it says very nicely that when it's without fear, it takes the, I mean, so there is no fear. So, I mean, it has worked all the time when the season is good, and then it takes the food when it is, where the outside food is not available, and so there is no fear of its getting hungry or something like that. So in the same way in sadhana, if we move towards our goal steadily, knowing that our mind is making a lot of troubles for us, slowly calming down. It's like that, you know that like a fish, when it is hooked on the hook, initially it will try to run, and you leave the rope, leave the string, and then what happens? You pull it back. You leave it and pull it back, leave it, and finally what happens? The fish gets tired and gets steady at the place where it is. In the same way, these birds also, they work very hard to get the food, and some of them are trampled, some of them lose their life, but still, the comradeship between them is so nice that each one helps other, and this is how they can bring the bigger chunks, and which will be shared by later on in the houses which is under the ground or something. So this is a very good example of our sadhana also, that when we go to centers, we try to cooperate with others, we try to learn from each other, and then what happens? We come back at home, we do our meditation, and slowly dive deep into it, so that we get the real fruit of our sadhana. Saira.
Sairam. So this is very nice. So you see, Swami used examples, and it was see, the idea of this exercise is number one is only for us, our own individual sadhana, to see where we are in our sadhana. Whether somebody else is progressing or someone else is not progressing is not our concern. Our concern is he has given 3 like litmus papers. He has given 3 indicators. So then we just need to see where we are in this journey, because there is a very critical assessment of what we are or who we are and how we define ourselves, and then see how we can improve ourselves. I think this is what this whole exercise is all about. That's why this is so very nice and very appropriate that something like this is done. Whether are we the monkey type, where we just jump from one practice to one practice, or even shift our allegiance to gurus, or is it the one where we just go hard on something and then drop the fruit and then go off, or is it like continuous effort like the ants that we do. So in the ants also, when we do, we just do it for the sake of joy, and we're not too bothered about the results. We just continue doing, and then we get the results of that. And I think that is what ultimately all of us should be aiming for, finally. So it's very nice experience, very, very good, very enlightening, and extremely. This is the I think not many would have classified all the sadhanas into this type of categories, and help us to understand very clearly where we are in our journey. And this is a very important milestone, because then only we know how far we are yet to go. But the main thing is that I think we want to, here is about rectification and refining our approach in our sadhana so that we can get to the end result. Otherwise, we will not be exerting. And Baba said, at the end of the day, it's only effort, and effort is proportional to grace. So whether we get the result is grace. So grace is controlled and regulated by effort. And he has just clearly shown the three different type of efforts that we should, where people exert, and where we fall in under helps us to understand how far we are, how near we are to the goal. So with these few words, thank you so much, sisters and brothers, for a beautiful session this today as well. So many different perspectives. So it's very rich and very, very rewarding. So till we meet again next week, Saira. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Suresh, we have finished with 4 letters.
Okay.
God, everything, God, you are. He who loses individuality, nature of self, easiest way to reach Sai. So I think next week we will have to look at the next 4 letters. Ignorance is the greatest curse in life. You are Satchitananda, man's true aim. Freedom is independence from externals. Okay, for those who are new to this, what they call satsang, if you can text me, I can put you into the nurturing WhatsApp group so that we can share this study material with those of you who are new to this group. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. And also, group 1 will do the Billy. Just go to the contents. That then we the group 1 will do the which group?
Ignorance.
The greatest. Yeah, group 1 will do ignorance is the greatest curse in life. Group 2 will do your Satchitananda. Group 3 is man's true aim. And group 4 will do freedom is independence from eternals.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry.
Right. So